Good afternoon and Happy New Year. Welcome 2021. I'm Dr. James Smith Jr. and welcome to the Dr. James Show. Happy New Year. We made it. Yeah, it was challenging, character building, but we made it. Looking forward to a phenomenal show today. We're going to start big with a bang. Our guest actually just left the bench. Just left the courtroom, is in with us for the show. But before we dive in to the show, I want to welcome my co-pilot for our journey, Shannon Peck. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
How you feel?
I feel really good. I'm inspired. I'm excited. Looking forward to all things 2021, honestly.
Before we go into 2021, how about that last show we did? Wasn't that special?
I didn't want it to end. I wanted to go into overtime and then on top of overtime, and it just was unexpectedly amazing. Like I had an expectation, but it actually brought it up even a higher level for me.
Well, I think that's going to be the case for today because I have great expectations, but I have a feeling that our guest is going to supersede those expectations, just like she has superseded all the goals that she's had in life. And I can't wait to get into her story. But before we do, any words of wisdom for our first-time viewers, our veterans, folks in the chat room? What do you say?
I would say welcome. And those of you who have joined us before, welcome. Those of you who are coming on for the first time, we're so grateful. Don't be shy. This is your opportunity to, I don't know about you, Dr. James, but I don't know if many of us got to have an off-the-cuff, one-on-one conversation through a chat room, through a webcast, or anything else with a live judge. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is your opportunity to ask all of those things you've never asked before. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I feel it's a strong way to kick off 2021 because, Dr. James, I know in a few moments you're going to introduce our judge today, but I think the title that comes to mind, and you were talking about superseding and all those things. And this year they launched, right, Wonder Woman. But to me, what's coming to my mind of what I've learned is Superwoman is coming to mind. So I don't know about you, but I feel intermittently I'm seeing like a cape fly across the.
Not the robe, but the cape. Well, with that, Shannon, I will introduce our guest. We've been calling her a judge, but she is a history-making judge. She's also a CPA. She's also a lawyer. She's also a jogger. She's also a wife, a mother. Superwoman, I think that applies very, very nice. So welcome, Dr. Judge Demetrica Todd-Ruiz to the Dr. James Show. What's up, Judge?
Hello. Thank you for having me. Happy New Year.
Hey, thank you for making the time. I mean, you just left the bench, and as you said earlier in the green room, you were taking care of 3 rooms at one time.
I was handling 2 different courtrooms and then communicating with staff on a 3rd device, and then had to disconnect because I didn't want the Zoom links to interfere with me coming to your show. So it was like, gotta go. Okay.
Now, you always do our research before the show. And I just learned that you and I went to the same place for undergrad. Why didn't
you? Not true. Not true. Are you serious?
Class of 83.
Not true. Dr. Smith.
Yes, when we were the pioneers. Now we're the pride, but class of 83 played on the national championship football team, Widener University.
I did not know that. You know, I beam with pride. Because I had a great time at Widener University. Like if someone were to ask me, you know, would you go back and do it again? I mean, without hesitation, yes. Like literally the best 4 years of my life. Had a great time. And then I served as the co-chair of the African American Alumni Association for 10 years.
I didn't know that.
Just like I didn't know you were alum. So thanks for letting me know.
We have to catch up. But you are not just a judge, history-making judge, where you were appointed in 2017, the first African-American judge in the city of Violin, New Jersey, but first African-American female. Take us back to that day, 2017, when you were appointed. Was there with you?
Oh my gosh.
Take us back.
I will. It was an awesome day. But right before that, I will tell you that, Dr. Smith, I personally did not see what all the glitz and glamour was about. Okay. And that's because for me, I had been a public defender, I had been a prosecutor, and by the time I was appointed judge, which was 3 years ago, I had been practicing law for 16 years.
Wow.
So the next step was to be the judge, right? So I'm like, that's what is supposed to happen. So for me, it was just another leg in that ladder going up.
See,
but
when you're an achiever though, that's the mindset of the achiever. What's next?
Okay.
Time to celebrate or savor the moment. You're on to what's next.
Right. So I would tell you that I was taught, like, there was another woman who was a Latina in my community who had been the first years ago being a member of city council. And she said to me, she was the one, Sheena Santiago, because it's because of her that I agreed to have a ceremony. She said,
I think we have a picture of that ceremony, but continue.
Okay. She said that, oh my God. Let me tell you how this was in the middle of the day, in the middle of a week, the work week, okay? And I did not realize so many people were going to take their lunch break at this time. So many people were going to take off. I had people family traveling from Virginia, New York. I mean, that room, like, it was deep, it was packed, there was standing room. I mean, I had members of the law enforcement and members of my family, members of my sorority, and everyone was just happy, and it was genuine. And I honestly was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed.
That's your tribe. Your tribe was there to show their love. Your friends, your tribe.
My girlfriends from Weiner, who I've been with since Weiner, graduated back in 95 and 96, and we celebrate and hang out for every special occasion. They came. So I mean, I was overwhelmed
in this picture. We see the throngs of people. We can't see how far back it goes. We see you being sworn in.
Oh my God.
Look at you.
Yeah, and that is former Supreme Court Justice of New Jersey who agreed to come and be a part of this celebration with me. So I was so grateful.
Wonderful.
So very grateful.
And you're a pioneer. So pioneers get special love too, because the pressure of being the pioneer, if you succeed, you open the doors perhaps for more people like you.
And you're right.
Those doors may close.
You're right. And I didn't realize it, right? I didn't realize, or maybe I did, but just didn't take the time to understand the impact. And it was only after this occasion, during and after this occasion. And I've been on the bench now for 3 years and have since God has expanded my territory to 3 counties.
And you've been appointed 2 more times.
I have. And I would tell you that individuals still say, just as today, a defendant came on and said, I am so proud of you. Like I'm still getting it. And I thank God for just putting me in this position, because I know it's only by his grace and his mercy. It could have been anyone. And I'm just hoping that I am doing right by God and doing right by his people.
Do I hear a spiritual person over there?
Yes. Listen, I tell you, I don't know how. I don't know how. I guess I know how, if they do, if their God, if they say their God is like my God, but I don't know how I would get through it without my God. Without my God. So that's my experience. Yeah.
All right. Well, tell me about, I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions, or our
You
discussion
should. You
is
should.
around just keeping it 100. What does a judge do every day? I mean, is a
Yeah.
typical day, uh, in addition to overseeing cases, do you mentor? Do you coach? I mean,
Mhm.
fill in the
Yeah.
blanks, please. Typical day.
Sure. So my role, because I serve as a municipal court judge in New Jersey, so my jurisdiction in that court deals with unindictable criminal offenses, uh, traffic matters, city ordinance, dog. And I typically say, just so people could, something simple, I say I handle everything from except for rape and murder, right? So I handle everything except for rape and murder. However, I could get a phone call from law enforcement to execute a warrant for rape or murder, right? So I handle everything through the title judge, but when I'm on the bench, I do unindictable criminal, uh, code enforcement, fish and wildlife. Rite Aid is under ringing or over ringing. So everything that's the jurisdiction, as well as truancy when it comes to school age students, and that's what I do during the day. I do have a court that meets at night, so I have night court. We have a lot of fun with that. You remember that show?
Yes, I do. Dating myself, but I do.
So we have a lot of fun with that. And I do serve as a mentor. I had a mentee at Widener who I still keep in touch with. She graduated 2 years ago. I currently have a 2L mentee at Rutgers Law School, which is my alma mater, that I mentor. I am involved with the Association of Black Women Lawyers, where we are paired up, of New Jersey, and we're paired up with mentees. And I just was on another panel with Keene University. It was an organization that was created by a young lady and some other young women. And they have now tapped me to serve as a mentor with them. So I like that. I enjoy that.
So when do you sleep? When do you eat? When do you rest? When do you find time to?
Oh my gosh. So surprisingly, let me tell you, I love to eat. Okay. I love to eat. And I love to get my rest. My husband teases me now when I say if I take a nap. Dr. Smith, my naps minimum 2 hours. Okay,
Oh,
minimum. I know,
my.
right? So I do. I love to sleep. The point is, I love to sleep. So I do get it in. I don't know, right? You would think that it's 24 hours in a day, and how am I packing it in? But I thrive
Mm,
on the like my cup overflowing. That
mm.
I thrive on. I thrive on that. So
So when you hear people say their plate is full, their glass is half full, and typically it's from a complaining standpoint. You just said you thrive when
I
your
do.
is overflowing.
I do, because I will tell you that's what I'm familiar with. So when I tell you, if I don't have something slotted for 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I'm literally thinking, like, am I missing something? Like something's wrong. Like something is wrong. But there are those right, but I do fit in family, right? I do fit in meal times with the family. I fit in when I go out and I run with my group with Black Girls Run. I fit that time in. I fit my yoga class in. So everything has a time slot. So I'm hoping that I am addressing the entire being, which is the mental, spiritual, physical, emotional. So I'm just slotting it all in, and that's how I keep moving. I have to.
Now I know why or how prior to coming on today,
Mhm.
monitoring 3 courtrooms, you leave the room within seconds, you're now doing a show. What? Shannon, come talk to Superwoman. Come talk to Superwoman.
So I have a question. I have a question
Yes.
for Judge. Judge,
Yes.
clearly it takes a village. Who's been
Mm.
your village?
Oh my gosh! Listen, I'm giving you my history. So, my history. So my background. I was married my first semester of law school. Okay, so I got married. I got started law school August. I got married in October. I had my child my third semester, my 3 year, like my last year of law school, the last semester of law school. So I could not have continued with law school without my mom, my dad, my siblings. And you know what? This is a confession. I'm spoiled, Shannon. Like I'm spoiled. Okay. So, and my friends always remind me, but I don't disagree. Like I acknowledge that I'm spoiled. So I have an older sister who was second mom to my child, right? Because when I started at a law firm, you put in hours. And it came to the point where I actually reflected on my experience at the law firm where I said, you know, I took the bar exam with an igloo because I was breastfeeding. So I had to take an igloo to the bar exam with the bottles, the ice, and then, you know, do what I needed to do during a break that they gave me. So that's that's how my life has been, is, and I appreciate that, and I'm okay with it, right? You just make it happen. Whatever, make it happen. Dr. Smith, what I don't do is make excuses. You make it happen. And I'm grateful that I was able to make it happen with my village, Shannon, and that being my family. And my sister now, and I still do it now. My daughter is 19. So I'll say, you know, I have to do something and you need to go pick her up from college, right? And she'll say, well, I'm doing something. I'm like, well, you need to cancel what you're doing because you need to go pick her up from college. So yeah,
and it gets done, right?
Yes, my family and my village, my girlfriends that I talked about from college. Well, when I lost my mom, they were there. When I lost my stepdaughter in the military, she died in Afghanistan. They were there. Co-workers, they were there. So it's a lot of people who, you know, those that I trust and those that I know who are lifting me up and they are genuine about their support and love. They are all included in my village.
And it doesn't hurt, Dr. James, that she's super lovable. I mean, I'm just saying.
I hope not.
Shannon, I talked to some of the members of the tribe, and I said, give me some one-word descriptors of the judge. And they said, like, funny, energetic, charming, fire, grassroots, people-oriented, unselfish, down-to-earth, community service-oriented.
I love it.
And on and on.
Oh, that's nice.
And the word on the street is that you're just an ordinary girl who pursued a dream.
That's it. And that's what I believe. So it really is, it's hard to talk about myself, right? Like it's hard because I'm just me, right? Without the title, without the position, I'm me, I'm Demetrica. And that is who I want to remain, right? Because hopefully that's the person that they described, right? They didn't necessarily describe the judge. They didn't necessarily describe Your Honor, but they described Demetrica.
They say you get your wobble on too.
What you know about it? Well,
hey. Hey.
Indeed. I'll be the only one on dance floor, Dr. Smith, but put a beat on. I'm going.
All right, we'll be there. Shannon, any love in the chat room? Any words, any comments?
Yes. One of our viewers wants to know, can you please comment on your mindset that has provided incredible perseverance and accomplishments throughout your life? And do you hear the voices from the mentors that affirm you, or do you battle back against those voices and influences that
so it's a combination of mindset?
That's good, yeah.
Voices.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Do you battle against those doubtful in the past?
Okay, so let me tell you that I want to live a life with an open mindset, right? So when we might only be familiar with four corners in a box, I want to be open to learn and explore what might be outside that box, because we're limited. Really, we're limited based on our experiences, our upbringing, our connections, our contacts. So if that limitation has been in that box, we're not exposed to everything that we could be exposed to. So I recognize that. And I want to say that because I have an open mindset, that I am willing to understand and listen to a parent who basically had to make a choice between, taking something out of a store to feed her family and the fact that there might be consequences associated with that, right? Mm-hmm. Like I understand why someone might make that decision. Like I get it. Although that is a choice that I didn't have to make, and I'm grateful I didn't, but it's only by grace that it wasn't me that had to make that decision or that choice. So I want to say that the open mindset helps me just to acknowledge that we all walk in different our paths, like our paths are all different. And then the second question was in reference to the mentors and
mentor voices. You hear them. What do they say? What have they said?
Yeah, again, Sheena being a mentor, the one who was the cheerleader when it came to us having that ceremony, she reminds me constantly, and others, that it's not just about me, right? It's not just about me. So, and I get it now. I get it, right? When I think about the civil rights movement and those who chose to walk instead of ride the bus, which was more convenient, right? So I recognize that it may, it's for a greater good. It's for a larger audience. So I will say I've been offered positions that would have required me to leave the bench. And I had to reflect on, if I left, who's coming in after me, right? Like, who would take my place? And it was important to me to remember that representation mattered. And if the replacement wasn't going to be representing, then I need to stay.
We're glad you stayed, Shannon. Thank you. Judge, I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to let you begin to answer it through video first.
Okay.
Fill in the blanks on what we missed. So the question is essentially, when did this legal journey begin? When you were small, when you were in middle school, grade school? But I think you began to answer that question in the video. So we're going to show a little bit of that video right now, and then there we go.
Oh my God.
So that actually goes way back when I was a child. I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. But mind you, at that time when you're 6, the image of the lawyer that you see is just on TV. So my image was that of like Perry Mason and what was happening in the legal realm there. Nowadays we have Law and Order, right?
Yes.
So then I actually thought that the lawyer, if you're going to be that person, you're helping those who have been wronged. And then as I got older, and I still wanted to be a lawyer from 6, 7, 8, all the way up to graduating high school. And once I got to college, I realized that there are a plethora of legal areas in which one can practice. So I had a liking for business. So when I got to college, the understanding for me was that I'm going to get the background in business, accounting, and taxation, so I can become a corporate attorney.
Very good. That's what I was going to
Right.
ask you. Where did that come
Right. Fill in the blanks. Fill in the blanks.
Oh, absolutely. So I did do that. The background and the business and the accounting. I got my master's in taxation, and actually began to work in corporate and tax law. And if you know anything about, I guess, big law firms, that you're there with the hopes of being on a path to partner. And again, I had just had a child right when I graduated law school. I graduated, I had a child in March. I graduated law school in May, took the bar exam in July or June, and then I had to start work in July, right? Maybe it was July and then August, but it was back to back. And I worked, and it's a lot of hours that you have to put in. And guess it's for a lot of people. I just recognized or realized that I was missing out on so much, right? And at the time, thankfully, I had a husband who allowed me to take a hiatus, right? And Dr. Smith, and I tell this to students when I go and do career days, like I literally got to a point where I had my bachelor's, my master's, my JD, I worked, had a child, and then said, guess what? I don't know what I want to do. Or I said, I don't know if I want to do this, right? So I get it. Like, how do you know if you want to do something until you actually do it? You can talk about the things that you like, right? We can talk about what sparks you, what you like, what lights you up. And I did. I liked helping people. So that is what never left me.
Where did that come from? Where did that pioneer help people spirit emanate from?
My parents, and particularly my mother. Dr. Smith, she had me at the church doing clothing giveaway. We did Meals on Wheels. We fed the homeless every week. I mean, my days, and actually my packed schedule started with my mother because she tugged me along with her when we were out there helping. And then she continued to have me in organizations such as Girl Scouts, which, I had to earn badges, and some of those badges had to do with helping people who were less fortunate. And then I'm trying to pass that along. So I was involved in organizations, and a lot of my community or extracurricular activities, including my sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, which one of our—
she dropped the plug.
It's service. So yeah, it started with my mom, my parents, but particularly my mother.
I want to learn a little bit about some of the challenges you face becoming a history-making judge. Can you think about a time where you took a punch in the gut and you just didn't pivot? It hurt and you had to rethink what you were doing? So I'm looking for a time, a challenge, a pothole, an obstacle that you had to clear in order to move to the next phase.
Yeah.
Can you take us back and walk us through what that was, how it felt?
Yeah.
You did to bounce back, to pivot.
Absolutely. And as you were asking the question, I was thinking about the answer, and what popped into my mind was an experience that I had the first time that I went into criminal court. And I had a mentor of mine she's now a judge in Atlanta. She was serving as the appointed public defender in a municipality, and she needed a substitute. So Dr. Smith, I haven't practiced criminal law, and you need a substitute.
So what?
Right. So what? So exactly. So she's like, well, no, just go into this, and not a problem, because I'm okay with the phrase "fake it till you make it" too, right? So I go in, and I'm filling in and doing her job, and there was a seasoned attorney who is now sitting as judge on the bench, and he says to me, and I still hear it, what are they doing? They're just letting anybody graduate from law school nowadays. Yeah, right. So I'm thinking to myself, is that statement because I am new, or is that statement because I look different than he does?
Yeah.
Is that statement because I am a female? All of this is running through my mind. Okay. All of this is running through my mind, but I would tell you the end of that mental cycle, he will not win, right? That is what I said. He will not get the best of me.
Taking earrings off? You taking earrings off now?
He will not get the best of me. He will not win. So she was going to be on vacation. So I was substituting for more than one day, meaning I had to be back in front of him. So no matter if I was bruised, if I was hurt, and mind you, I was, because I'm like, he might be right? Like, you know what? He might be right. Like, I'm lacking that confidence because I don't practice this area of law. But what I did, I reached out to my mentor again and said, okay, hey, this is what happened. You lied. And she was like, oh, forget him. But then I went through my calendar for the week that I had to fill in. I was prepared for him. I talked to other colleagues, right, who were in that field, and said, like, this is my scenario. And I just went back and forth in reference to the outcome and what that different type of scenarios could come up with this factual pattern, this fact pattern. So I went in there the next, maybe it took me 2 days, but my chest was puffed out. My head was held high, because what you will not do is defeat me. You will not defeat me, right? So if I'm going to be defeated, it's going to be me at self-defeat or God, but I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm not. So no one else is going to have that much power over me.
Giving that power away. Sometimes we do that. Right. We share so much in common. There was a time in my life where I met that same person, a speaking event for an organization, and essentially after it was over, he questioned, why am I doing this? Why did I choose this
Mm.
And for a minute, I questioned,
You question.
am I cut out to be a speaker? Did he see something in me that I did not see? And two, did he say that because of what I look like, because I'm Black, because I went through all of that and like you, regrouped,
Yes,
self off, and I got you.
there it is.
Shannon, your thoughts on our
There it is.
what's happening in the chat room?
I just love that both of you had an opportunity for a second chance, and even if your second chance was in here. But speaking of second chances, what are your thoughts on second chances sitting in such a position of power?
That's for you, Judge.
That's for me. I know, because you also, right, I didn't know who that was for. but I do I recognize, and I do believe in second chances. I actually do believe in a system of justice that would have penalties, punitive consequences, as well as rehabilitative consequences. So I understand that actually we all break the law, right? Even if we're speeding, we all break the law. If you have gotten behind the wheel of a car and you were doing 51 and the limit was 50, you broke the law, right? You were speeding. And so we make mistakes. We are human, right? So if somebody makes a mistake, they recognize that mistake and they are able to pivot, right? And go in a different direction. And that's what I hope that I'm able to do in my position, is hopefully to make a litigant who is now a person who becomes a litigant, who becomes a defendant, that might help them to become a productive citizen in society. So I don't see you repeatedly in this room in front of me. So I don't see you. So, and I know, and I know where a mistake is, and then I know where you might have a problem, right? I have different categories of individuals. You might have a mistake, you make a mistake, and then you know the error, you won't do it again. And then I have those who might be driven by substance abuse or any underlying issue, right? So if I have someone who is committing shoplifting because they have a substance abuse issue, right? Like the core is not the shoplifting. The issue is this substance that we need to get you help with. So if I recognize that, and hopefully I do pray for discernment when someone appears before me, so I can recognize, those who are playing with the system, those who really have a problem and they happen to be in the system, and then those that I can actually try to help.
That's awesome, Shannon. That room is blowing up. I see the smoke. Can you give us a few thoughts? It's blowing up.
Yes, we have a comment and a question. We have, how did the experience with the story that you were sharing with the judge who was rude to you and questioning your experience?
Actually, it was a lawyer. It was a lawyer.
No, it was a judge. It was a judge.
In that courtroom impact you today? How has that experience impact you today?
Yeah, I will say it in my courtroom. How has it impacted me in my courtroom? Well, I'm definitely not that person, right? On the bench, no matter who appears before me, they get the respect. And I'm going to speak to you just like I want to be spoken to. And so I have not repeated what I received to anyone else. So, and I am glad to say that judge and I are actually, our relationship is cordial. Right. And I never brought it up to him. I don't even know if he remembers that he said that to me.
Same thing.
Right. But our relationship is cordial and he respects me. So my win, my W, my victory is that he respects me.
Yes, that's good. That's good.
That's good.
And we just have somebody who says it's such a pleasure to have you here with everyone. And I'll go into the next question, but you've been empowering, you're just really empowering, and people are applauding you in our chat room.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Shannon. Judge, I been doing my research, and then you amplifying that earlier when we first started talking. You said you run for Black Girls Run.
Yeah.
I always thought that long distance running was suicide. I was a sprinter. I'm running 100, 200. That's it. I'm out.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
about that
Yeah,
experience, and
absolutely.
is Dawn Jones in that same crew?
I know the name Dawn Jones, and it could be because I've seen her name pop up in our Facebook
Okay.
group. Yeah, but it's thousands of us, right? So I'm in Black Girls Run South Jersey, and then there's Philadelphia, and then we have our subgroups because South Jersey is pretty big. So I'm way down in Salem County. But the video that you showed, I had on my BGR shirt when I was doing that interview. But yeah, so that group of women, so we support one another, and it's about staying healthy and maintaining a balance, like a healthy balance. So when we're out there doing our runs, and we're doing it in groups, we're having conversations, we're talking about life, bouncing stuff off of one another, and it's just good to have another like-minded individual
Sure.
that you can just talk to. So I just counted my medals. So I have my in-person running medals, and then lately we've been doing virtual runs, right? Because of COVID, we can't get together. But I counted 47 of my medals that are hanging, that I have in downstairs in the area where I'm hanging my medals. So I just wanted to know how many I had. So I'm like, okay, I got to get to 50, right? So I'm always setting another goal. So we got to get to 50, because I would tell you, Dr. Smith, my thing, how you said that, you do one thing and what's next. So the running for me finished, like the racing ended. So I became a half marathon maniac, because I finished 3 half marathons in 7 days. I think it was. Maybe it was 2 in 7 days, but whatever the case, that was running. And I thought this too, who would want to run for 2 hours at a time? Who want to do that? Right. So I got to a point where I stopped. I never wanted to do a marathon, although there are many women who've done that. My husband has done that. I don't want to run for 5 and 6 hours at a time. So I cut mine off.
For right now.
Right now. But now I'm into cycling. Like, I got a bike. So I'm running, and I'm doing the bike, and my yoga practice. I really appreciate my yoga practice. So that is what I've also implemented into my daily and weekly routines.
Well, in terms of those routines, you're running, you're doing yoga. I know you have time to think a lot.
Oh, yeah.
A lot, contemplate a lot.
Yeah.
Current day happening in our country. What are your thoughts about where we are today? There's civil unrest, there's racial unrest, there's political unrest, there's pandemic. I mean, yeah. And for many, they think since it's 2021, things are going to just be fine.
Oh, right. No, not the case.
Your thoughts about what's happening?
Not the case. I would tell you, I have to be limited with my thoughts only because of my position. But I would tell you that we, especially with some of what you hear in reference to the racial unrest, that's not new, right? It's not new. I do believe that it was sort of an awakening, because the world was standing still when a lot of it was going on, because we weren't moving around because of the pandemic. So we were just at a standstill. And now with technology, a lot of stuff is just being viewable, right? It's being shared and it's being viewed. But for me, it's not new. It's not new, but I'm hoping that we will be able to flip or turn a page, because the conscious in others, that consciousness is being awakened in others who may not have been aware, not because their eyes were closed, but just because it wasn't in their face.
In your pursuit of equality, how did you meet John Lewis?
Yeah, so how'd you know that? Like, you're good. Your team is really good. Wow. So, he's my frat brother, right? He was my frat brother. So that was through the NAACP, and our New Jersey state president, he sits on the national board. At the time I met Mr. Lewis in Camden, we were doing, I think in Camden, they were going to be making the house Dr. King had grew up, or where he was when he went to this seminary in Chester. They were making that a historic building. giving that the historic designation, and and the my mind just went. Lewis, Mr. Lewis, he was there. He was there for that occasion. And because of networking is very important, okay? Networking is very important. So because of my relationships and my networking with the individuals in NAACP, I was invited to attend that event. And then I was invited to go to a ceremony afterwards, in which it was more intimate, where I was just able to walk up to him, touch my forehead against his forehead, and say, "Let me see you throw up your sign. Throw up your sign."
Well, since you so well networked, there's a couple of people I want that maybe you can help me meet Oprah and President Obama, since you got the network.
Listen, I am still doing it. I'm still trying. I'm still trying.
Stay with your network. I hear you have a lot of love for the notorious RBG.
Oh my gosh, my Shiro. And I'm often like, how could she not be everyone's Shiro? But yeah, just really loved her, having not ever met the woman, right? Having not ever met the woman, but what she stood for, what she fought for, what she worked for, it just aligned with my views and my values. And I saw her as the epitome, like she was that great example. And I saw her as a humble person. I saw her as a very smart, intelligent human being. And knowing her story, knowing that she had been denied opportunities because of her gender, right? And she was like the smartest in the room. So a lot of her views and values just aligned with mine. And I stuck to her. Like I just stuck to her like that because of that. And we're both being jurists, right? Both of us being jurists.
That's awesome. Listen, this is the part of our show that something tells me you're going to excel in, considering everything you've done in your life, but we call it the hot seat.
Oh my gosh.
The judge is now on the hot seat.
Nobody told me about this.
That's good. That's good. What's going to happen is I'm going to give you a word or a couple words, and I'd like for you to share the first word that comes to your mind.
Oh yeah.
Hear my word or words.
Oh really? Okay.
On the hot seat.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And don't say, well, I got 3 words, 4 words, and no. Hot seat.
One word. One word.
First word. Here we go. Justice. You're such a judge. Thinking. No thinking, judge. The seat is
okay. Everyone.
Love.
God.
Resilience.
Mother.
Strength.
I shouldn't repeat a word either. Okay. Family.
Leadership.
Mentors.
Tribe.
That's family.
Race.
Win.
Excuses.
Never.
Opportunities.
Always.
2021.
One word. Dynamic.
You're off the hot seat. Hey Shan, how'd the judge do?
Great. I adore her already, but you know what, as a woman of faith and as a woman who advocates for other women, what is your prayer for women for 2021?
Shan, you're going deep. You're going deep.
Yes.
I didn't know, because I'm trying to take it for myself. I'm
right. You know what?
Taking it.
And something, Shannon, that I've heard, a lot of women have heard, and it sticks with me, is that we might be able to support and uplift one another without the jealousy, but with true genuineness. And what comes to mind is a quote that I read, when another queen's crown is crooked, you don't have to, and you can fix it without announcing it, right? Without broadcasting that her crown is crooked. So that is
hashtag stealing that.
And I'm paraphrasing that, but that it's like, you don't have to announce to everyone that the crown is crooked. Just help her fix that crown.
Yes.
So that's my prayer, that we can just support and uplift without the jealousy, because what God has for you is for you, and what God has for someone else is for that someone else. So
Yeah.
you don't have to be jealous, because that's not for you.
Hmm. That
But
is
you can still be supportive.
Yes. And
So-
speaking of that, because that's bringing people together, question in the chat room is, with your drive and your passion, your optimism and faith, that may have caused people to push other people away. How do you bridge that gap when that does happen?
What part? When what happens?
Because you're so driven, your passion, optimism
Oh.
away. And if so, how do you bridge that?
Yeah, well, I hope that I bridge it by letting people get to know the true me, right? And the true me, then it's I meet every day, all the time. So, and you actually might have the same energy, the same passion, the same drive, and I just might display it differently. So if I could tell you, if I can get to the point where I'm bridging what we have more alike than what we have not in common. So let's talk about our commonalities. So hopefully that will help bridge the gap between what you might perceive as me being this way and you being another way.
Good.
We might have a lot. We have more in common than we don't. Once we talk, right? Once we actually, what was Michelle Obama's quote? It's hard to hate up close.
Yep.
Was that her quote? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And always stay above. Don't get down. Stay above the fray.
Right. I'm still working on that, but I'm doing a good job. when they go low, you go high. Sometimes Dr. Smith, I got to meet them in the middle.
Shannon, any other comments or any thoughts in the chat room?
Yes. Benjamin Brooks says, would love for you to meet Dr. Barbara Collins, who does a lot of work with women. Your story is an example of those women whom she works with. So
Major Ben Brooks, one of our previous guests.
Oh, wonderful. Would love to. Thank you.
And did I hear in your video, your little brief segment, that you had this dream at 6 years old?
Yes.
How do you
always knew
that seed or that dream at 6 and walk it out? How did you do that?
Right. And that's the thing, right? This is like retrospect when we look back. Who knew? Like, who knew? Right. So I could only tell you that I knew that I wanted to be the person I saw on TV. And I wanted to, which was a person that was helping the underdog. It was Matlock Perry Mason. It was always helping the underdog. And I knew that's what I wanted to do. I can't even tell you if I knew I know I could tell you I didn't know what a lawyer was at that time. So I can tell you I wanted to be that person who gets to talk when they help somebody else. and they tried to persuade another person to say, okay, you're right. I'm going to side with you. So, and then as you get older, as I got older, I realized then that person is a lawyer. And you know what? If you want to become that person with the title lawyer, you have to get the 4-year degree, then you have to go get another 3-year degree. So because that never changed, Shannon, I think my answer is it never changed. I never went from, okay, I want to be a lawyer, and then next I want to be a nurse, and next I want to be a firefighter. It never changed for me. It was always, I want to be that person who helps the other person. And then that venue, that vein was a lawyer.
That's powerful, Shannon. Thank you. Judge, I oftentimes ask people, would the 6-year-old or the 7-year-old you be proud of you today?
Oh my gosh, I hope so. And you know what? I think I can affirmatively answer that because my daughter she's told me that she's proud of me. So I want to believe that my example for her and her saying it to me, that I would also say it to myself, that I would be proud of myself. So, wow. But guess what? I have made mistakes and I'm not done making mistakes, right? So what you do is you correct it, fall down, get back up. And who was the original quote of that? When you fall down 8 times, get back up 9. Is that like a proverb or is that a quote? But I heard Denzel say it. I don't know if it came from him.
My twin.
So that's me, right? So the answer is yes. I'm hoping that my 6 or 7-year-old self would be okay with me.
Judge, I also read where there was a time in your life where you turned into, gosh, an in the moment rock, almost caretaker, helping your husband through the tragic loss,
Gosh,
where
oh my
he
gosh.
leaned on you and you said, come here. I mean,
Mhm.
what was that?
Yeah. Yeah, that was okay because right. So his daughter, who was my stepdaughter,
Right.
but I didn't birth her, right? So I it's not the same because he was the biological father. I mean, I hurt. I hurt because I had a personal relationship with Casey, my stepdaughter, and I
Mhm.
hurt because I am now one with my husband, right? So, and I hurt for him because he hurt. And this was real. Like this was real. Like this, not words and not in theory. This was real. So I did everything that I possibly could to to it, like to encourage myself so I can encourage him, and then to read up on as much as I could to pour into me resources so I would be ready to share those resources with him when he was ready. And then I wanted to be in a position to recognize if there was, if there was a detrimental change where, we need to seek professional help. So I try to educate myself at the same time lifting myself up, right? Lifting myself up. And we often hear a lot of times in our community with the Black women, like you just have to be that strength. Like you have to be that for a lot of people. So even for yourself. So I'm grateful that I had the strength to be that for my husband, because I can't imagine, right? Like I can't imagine. I could only imagine what it is to lose a stepdaughter, which is different from losing a daughter.
Yeah.
So.
Judge Demetrica, I know you have your own set of values or principles that guide your step through your journey. Can you share
Mhm.
a couple of them are? Your
So principles and values, yeah. I want to leave with you that I try to do, in everything that I do, I try to do it in love and with love. I acknowledge that I'm not perfect and that I am an imperfect vessel. So when mistakes happen, then I hopefully I'm not too hard on myself and I can bounce back more quickly, right? More quickly, so I don't take so much time away from the work that I need to do because I'm sulking somewhere. So that you can bounce back. And I say always give respect. Like give what you want. Like put out into the universe, into the world that you want to receive back. And just be because I think everybody is capable of being a decent human being, right? When did we get to the point where we can't even agree on right and wrong? Like where we can't agree on right and wrong. So just being a decent human being, and I'm hoping decent means the same means
well,
the same to more people than not, right? Being a decent human being. And I try to live with no regrets and to bring and to bring pride to my family, right? So I recognize that it's not me. When I am in the community, they see a Todd from the Todd family. They see a judge that they might see in a different venue, which is on the court. They see a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. So I want to bring pride to everything, everyone, and everyone that I'm representing. So
here's one more opportunity to do that.
yes.
This last segment on the show is called the mini, M-I-N-I, the mini keynote. Why? Because I'm a keynote speaker. I speak, I think you come to a few of my sessions long time ago.
Yes.
I want you to pretend like you're a keynote speaker right now. You have 30 seconds, 30 seconds. You're finishing off that keynote, and your keynote is about, I'll give you the subject. It's about how we should move forward in 2021.
Oh my gosh.
Responsibility and accountability for our tomorrows and our todays. You have 30 seconds. Judge Todd-Ruiz, your keynote starts now.
Okay, so everyone, I want you to understand that you are here for a reason. God has placed you here for a purpose, and it is your responsibility to fulfill and live in that purpose. And if you don't know what that purpose is, then continue to explore that purpose by talking to your mentors, talking to family members, talking to people that you trust that will uplift you and support you so that you go day by day, and 2021 will be the best and brightest that you have ever experienced.
Shannon, did she just drop the mic? Did she just drop the mic?
I mean, I think it's a great way to start off 2021, our first guest
What?
of the year. And for me personally, Judge Demetrica, I appreciate you not taking this on as just a job, but truly answering a calling, because I really believe it's your calling and that you have walked it out. So for me personally, and I think I can speak for those who've joined us today, thank you for being so relatable, and thank you for being so interesting.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much to you and Dr. Smith. You know, your brother is one of my favorite people. Listen, like he makes it to the first 10 fingers. Your brother makes it to the first 10 fingers, so I love him. Yeah.
I think it's a mutual admiration society. You know, I know he feels the same way about you.
Yes.
Really, really, really. If there's a word beyond thank you, well, that's the word that we feel right now for you. Not only being here, but leaving the bench in 5 minutes and bam, doing the show. And
yeah, and then I go back on in 3 minutes.
hey, that's cool.
No, take your time. No. Take your time. Take your time.
You know, I wrote a book called The No Excuse Guide to Success, no matter what your boss or life throws at you.
That's right.
I was like, I should have interviewed you for that no excuse way of life. But
oh no, but I'm sure because we both on the same page. No excuses.
You heard that. And for those of you who joined us, our first show for the year, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate the Pyramid Club for sponsoring it. We appreciate the opportunity to inform you and transform you. We're going to keep getting bigger and better and take from what we learned in 2020 and bring it to you in 2021. So again, get ready for a phenomenal year. Remember what the judge said, no excuses, no excuses. And as always, remember, you've just been Gym-Packed. See you later.